Now, I want to take you to another university story dominating the headlines. The University of Queensland is in further hot water after suspended student Drew Pavlou launched a $3.5 million lawsuit against them. Now, the legal action has also been filed against vice-chancellor Peter Hoge, who's been the target of Drew's criticism over links to the Chinese Communist Party. Now, despite being at opposite ends of the political spectrum, one Liberal politician is backing Drew's cause. Tasmanian Liberal Senator Claire Chandler joins me now from Canberra. Senator, thank you very much for your time this evening.
Thanks for having me, Chris.
Now, you've always been a stickler for the ability of students in particular to have a great sense of freedom of speech. As a matter of fact, it was included, as I understand, was it last year in your maiden speech? Is this one of the reasons why you've been drawn to Drew's case?
Well, look, I have, as you say, Chris, always been an advocate for free speech, and particularly free speech on our university campuses. 10 years ago, when I was a student at university, I was a relatively well-known conservative on campus, and there were certainly students that I shared classes with and some of my tutors that would often dismiss my views out of hand on the basis of my political ideology. And I found that personally quite a formative experience. But since that decade has passed since I've been at university, I think we are seeing progressively more and more erosion of this academic environment of inquiry and free consideration of ideas. I mean, really, when students are going to university, they're going, I believe, to engage in ideas and have that battle so that they can formulate their own values, so that when they graduate and go out into the workplace, they have a better understanding of how the world works through their perspectives. So this is something I care very deeply about, and certainly seeing what Drew Pavlou has been subjected to by the University of Queensland is upsetting to see.
You're a member of the Parliamentary Alliance on China. What do you make of what they've been saying in the last 10 days about students avoiding studying in Australia, that students here have been increasingly the victims of racism as a result of the virus? They haven't come up with too much evidence, have they?
No, certainly not, Chris. And I agree with the comments that you made earlier. I think we are seeing China trying to do with the international student market the same thing that they did with our barley exports a couple of weeks ago, following the very reasonable suggestion from Australia that we have an independent inquiry into the origins of coronavirus. I mean, we know that the coronavirus has devastated economies and devastated people's lives, whether it's in other countries where the virus hasn't been as well controlled in Australia, or indeed in our own country where we have sadly seen people die and we've seen people's lives significantly disrupted as a result of social restrictions. So it's completely reasonable for Australia to request an inquiry into this virus on the international stage.
Absolutely.
And I just think that the comments from China regarding students experiencing racism on campus is just the next step in their threats against the Australian economy, and it's really quite upsetting to see. I mean, the study that you cited just now mentioned many students that said that they didn't think that Australian universities were racist places, and we've seen, again, in media reports during the week, many students coming forward saying that that's certainly not been their experience. So the evidence speaks for itself, quite frankly.
It so does.